Topic number 2, after such an impressive debut in boxing, and even though Ngannou has committed to fight MMA for the Professional Fighters League in 2024, what sport should the Predator commit to more going forward? We go to you.
I think when this all started, we were given the impression that Tyson Fury was giving MMA a gift, giving Francis Ngannou a gift of letting him have this fight. And I think the tides have changed since then. Uh, could Francis box again and make money? Absolutely. Yes, he could. But the chances are he's probably going to get a decent name, right? And who knows if it goes his way? It probably won't, right? So now that makes him an 0-2 boxer. And I think that mystique kind of goes away. If I'm Francis Ngannou, I think it's MMA. I mean, I think he has to contractually, he has to. But I think there's a part of him that wants to go back to MMA, bury a couple people in the PFL, and build that legend up. Because as you're doing that, I promise you, whatever the next step is for Tyson Fury, Usyk, at the end of that fight, regardless of what happens, the name Francis Ngannou is going to get brought up a lot. He's going to hear that name over and over and over. It's going to haunt that man going forward, and people are going to keep asking him about him, and it's going to get on his nerves. And meanwhile, Francis is going to be mopping people up in the PFL. It's going to build that fight even more. And what Francis can do over there, he can do it in a year. He can get 2 fights in. That's all you need, something like that. Build that fight up even more. Remember at the end of Rocky, the original Rocky, Apollo Creed didn't say, all right, where's that number 1 contender? He didn't say that. He said, I want to fight Rocky again, because it was kind of burning at him, right? I think this is going to burn in Tyson Fury's mind, and I think it's going to keep getting worse and worse. Francis Ngannou's pockets will be the beneficiary of that. He will make more money if this fight builds up a little bit more. And MMA guys, I'm sorry, he's coming your way, and he looked phenomenal in boxing, and he's just as mean in mixed martial arts. So, man, just thinking of that should make every heavyweight in the PFL as nervous as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs.
Good one, Lasso. I like it. All right. Danny, how about you, man? I ask you the same question. He's got his commitments to PFL, but he looks so damn good, man. In which direction would you push the Predator towards going forward? More of his future combat sports. In which direction would you push him?
Yeah. Well, I love mixed martial arts over boxing. I much prefer it. So I would want to see Francis Ngannou just do MMA and maybe dabble in boxing again, but that's probably not going to be the reality. The reality is going to be quite the opposite. He's going to try to put all his eggs in the boxing basket and then dabble a little bit in MMA. There's just so much more to gain for him in the world of boxing. It seems just like paydays are way bigger. There are way bigger fights. I know that Francis Ngannou is a big name, but this fight was big because of Tyson Fury as well. He needs that other side of the equation. And PFL, I'm sure the PFL winner of this year could be an enticing fight. I think, for example, Renan Ferreira would be a spectacular fight, but I don't know if that's going to be quite big, right? And I don't know what other free agents are out there in order to make a fight as big as the one with Tyson Fury. Now, in the world of boxing, he's got, Andy Ruiz, he's got Wilder, he's got Anthony Joshua, he's got Fury again, maybe even Usyk, who knows? And he just proved to be very competitive, and you can make a case that he beat Tyson Fury. So why couldn't he box any other guy, right? So it just seems that boxing has the bigger fights for him, the fights with the most money, the fights with the bigger legacy. And something that I tweeted on Fight Night was that Francis Ngannou is the champion of prize fighting. He might no longer be the champion of the UFC, former champion, but he's the champion of prize fighting. If there's a guy that you can label as a prize fighter, that is Francis Ngannou. He doubled down, he bet on himself, and he's fighting for the biggest prizes possible while risking it all, right? We see a lot of guys that may not want to go to the lengths that Francis Ngannou had to go through dealing with the UFC in order to secure this bag. So I think it's going to be a little bit of MMA and mostly boxing moving forward. It just makes sense for his body, for his pockets, for his legacy. Tough to see him stick around in MMA, to be honest, after this.
Did I not tell you guys we have a crew today, man? They are bringing it. The champion of prize fighting. I like it. Mike Bond with the behind the scenes recap, goes with the Rocky pull. it actually made sense, even though it was a fictional movie. But yeah, you're right. Apollo wanted to run it back. And by the way, blessings to the family of Paulie Burt Young from that movie who passed away this past week. Let's go back to the chats real quick. Joseph Perlman says, if you go to the Mike Tyson YouTube page, he released some footage once the fight was over, shows what a great coach he is and how hard Francis worked.
Yo,
Let's see
let me
here.
interrupt here. Yo, shouts out to Dewey Cooper, man. Eric Nixick will say, I know you guys had Eric Nixick on, and I love Eric and much respect him, and I know he had some contribution in this, but he'll say it. Like, Dewey Cooper was the one that did most of the legwork, and I love Mike Tyson as well. He did a great job at hyping up Francis Ngannou, bringing him confidence, supporting him, but it just seems that Dewey Cooper should be getting all the flowers here because he's the one that did most of the work for this fight.
For sure. Yeah. And I'm glad Eric said it, and I'm glad you brought it up, Danny. Good call there. Joseph Boza says, in the boxing world, this was a big gamble for Tyson to take this fight because December 23rd, Tyson's supposed to defend against Usyk. How bad would it have looked in the boxing world if Francis had won? I don't know, Mike. What do you think about that, about Joseph Boza's comment?
Well, it seems like that's not happening. I mean, I think there's some quotes going around from Frank Warren now and Tyson Fury himself, who's done a little bit of media now saying, hope you guys have a good Christmas. See you in the new year. It would be foolish, I think, for Tyson Fury to fight Usyk on the 23rd. And it seems like it's pretty much 0% chance of happening at this point. I know that's going to frustrate Usyk a lot, but that seems to be the case at the moment. And if it's true that Tyson Fury did put his longest camp of his career, 12 weeks, into this fight preparing, and then the damage he took, the knockdown, it does not seem like a good idea to jump right back into a camp and fight Usyk, who's, arguably the best out there right now, and a stern challenge for Tyson Fury. I think it would be a deteriorated version of that fight if we got it on December 23rd. It's a little bit like the conversation, that was being had last week about Alexander Volkanovski, right? And him wanting to fight Ilya Topuria in January after being knocked out. So, I'm not in favor of these quick turnarounds, especially when there's just so much on the line for these guys. It doesn't make sense for him. I know that Usyk's going to be really upset with that, but it is what it is at this point. Tyson Fury should not be showing up in a few months here.
Agreed. Yeah. He needs to rest and get sharp again because that layoff hurt him too.